So you're taking up the whole screen, Mike. You're the only one there.
I'm sorry.
Okay, roll call. We got Bob, Jim, Marilyn, Dave, Mike, myself, and for visitors or others,
You got Judy.
we got Judy and, I'm sorry, Judy, and Charlie and Becky
And
and Kathy and Greg sitting out on the edge by there, and Courtney
And her crew.
and her crew, right?
And Dee's out there too.
I'm bad with names, ND, okay. Okay, has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from last month? Any corrections or additions to them? Okay, stand approved as read then. And Courtney, you're probably a visitor, and if you wanna talk, then they can be on their way, or,
Morning, everyone. I won't bore you with the same old spiel. I'm here with Stewart Creek. Again, this is the 5,000 acre proposed solar farm also in Willow Creek Township. It is proposed to be a 600 megawatt solar farm. We went through the ZBA process. We received a unanimous recommendation, and we're just here to answer any questions that anyone might have.
I guess the one question I had, Courtney, was what's the build out proposed?
When is construction? Looks like August of 2022.
August 2.
And it's estimated to take between 21 and 24 months.
2 years to build that. Wow,
that's something, that's really.
that's a lot of acres though.
If you look at the way that the project area is situated, I believe they're gonna divide it up into like the north, the south, and the central. That's how they plan to tackle the construction.
That 7 AM to 7 PM or whatever it is that a state law or
It very well could be.
somebody told me that a long time ago.
So, yeah, so, yes,
Maybe you'd have that answer right now. You didn't Google it or?
yeah. Yeah. Anything else I can do for you, Bob?
Yeah, no, sorry. Just keep asking, we'll get an answer.
Yeah.
No, lawyers get a different Google than we do or?
Yeah, premium.
Google Premium, Google Go.
Any other questions for Courtney? Big project. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Courtney. Dee, are you hiding out there still?
I sure am.
Would you like to speak? Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Dee other than what's on the agenda? Okay. Greg, do you have something to say other than what's going to be covered on the agenda?
No, John.
Oh, okay. Need the reports from the committee chairs, Jim?
Okay, Transportation Committee and Solid Waste met at 8 o'clock on Monday. We did a form.
I'm not sure, it's yours.
The main items discussed was, and we spent quite a bit of time in talking about this item. It was first, Dave brought us the concern that he had in regards to if there was a COVID problem with his maintainers and we had a large snow event, that how we could mitigate an emergency in the highway department, because, you know, you have two guys go down in the highway department and all of a sudden you're not covering, 30% of the roads. And it could get really ugly real quick, especially if those two guys infected or forced into quarantine, two other guys or three other guys. So it just would the potential would cascade on itself. So we spent a lot of time talking about different ways that could be mitigated. I don't know that, Marilyn, we ever really came down to.
We never got a final conclusion.
But David was going to talk about that. Well, so that morphed into a conversation that, and I don't know if you want to do this now, John, or later, but it morphed into more of a conversation of what is the COVID policy across all the departments? And so, is to make sure that all department heads are handling things in a consistent manner. So if an employee goes down with COVID, what is the county policy in regards to, is that automatically an FMLA event? Is that, is the policy going to be you use up personal time off or sick time? And what is the policy of the county over all the departments so that it's consistent? And so we spent a lot of time and Casey Considine brought up some really good discussion points and all that. So I, in pursuing that, I had called John and asked, explained what we had discussed, and then asked if that should be a topic that we cover here, and also if there's any guidance from Sickich in regards to that issue. So,
Well, essentially, I went and called Kathy from there, Kathy Ferguson, just to find out what we should do if one of the drivers came down with COVID. And she indicated that from all practical purposes, if somebody from another department came down with COVID-19, they would be sent home to isolate themselves. And unless a driver is too sick to use, they all have individual trucks, and I verified that basically with Dave. He said they could then continue to work if they saw fit, and if not, they would just fit within the same guidelines as somebody else taking off work. But the highway department is almost individual to itself. They're the only, most everybody else could go home and work if they were sick, or if they came down and tested positive for COVID-19. The highway department, you really can't if you're plowing snow or doing maintenance. But if you're by yourself and you're socially distanced and want to keep working, neither Kathy or Sickich had too much issue with it.
okay. And that was one of the things that we had discussed.
We discussed that possibility, but then comes up the question, this guy's plowing snow when he comes across the car in the ditch. Is he gonna help that car? Is he gonna call the sheriff's department?
At that point, you should call the sheriff's department.
What's the citizen gonna think that the snowplow driver just going on by him and saying, stay
I don't
away.
know if you should go by, but you maybe should, keep the flashing lights going to make sure nobody plows into the guy in the ditch or whatever. But I think you should call the sheriff at that point, make that decision made by the sheriff.
And it needs to be understood that if that's the route that Dave decides to go, that's a change in policy as far as sending a vehicle home with
Yeah,
somebody.
and I called back Dave
So-
and discussed this with him. And that's what he was going to do, was to further kick that around and write up whatever he thought was necessary with it.
So we would be, the snowplow driver, the highway employee could possibly take the truck home with him. Is that what you're saying?
From what, that particular issue never came up. What did come up was the fact that these snowplow drivers, these guys plowing snow, or even working road maintenance, are individual to their own truck, from what Dave said. So there would be no cross infection. Now, if there was, Dave indicated that they have the necessary supplies down there to wipe down each truck.
Yeah, they can sanitize the vehicle.
Sanitize the vehicle. And so if you had a guy who, for some reason, didn't use the truck the next day, they would have to sanitize the truck if somebody else knew.
And as far as the other issues in regards to having a consistent policy across all departments, Sickich didn't have
They are devising one right as we speak. I talked to Jenny, and they are setting up one now. It's also new and everybody's kind of stumbling around, but they have a policy and she's going to forward it to me.
okay.
Have we had a number of employees out with COVID? We don't know.
We don't know. I don't know. It's kind of, there's been some that have been exposed and some that have gone and taken tests, but I have not been told that somebody is actually out of quarantine, so to speak, with COVID. I wouldn't be surprised, but I have not been informed on that.
Just curious.
It's a HIPAA thing, and I get very little information. I don't know if I really want a lot of information. That's my position. Charlie, you looking at me? I
Yeah.
can't tell if you're smiling or not, Charlie.
No, I was just thinking the wheels were turning. So if I'm keeping up with you, are you saying that somebody that is supposed to be on quarantine would be doing the truck driving?
That's what Dave, that's what Jenny.
So
They're
it would be,
no different than being at home watching TV and
I guess the question I have is if something happens, they weren't supposed to be out anyway. There's a legal issue there, liability.
well, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted this to be brought up here is because the scenario would be, okay, you have a person who's been exposed or has a person at home that's tested positive. The worker is in isolation, not technically quarantined, but is not allowed to come into work. But
sorry about
he's
that.
healthy. He's do we have him even get tested? Because he can go into isolation and not have to get tested.
Well, the way that the health department runs it, isolation is if you're positive.
Or is that, do I have that backwards? Oh, it's quarantine. Quarantine is if you're exposed, and isolation is if you're tested and you're positive.
Correct. So if you're in quarantine, like you've had an exposure to somebody that's positive, the recommendations of the health department, IDPH, and CDC is that you are to remain home and not go anywhere.
Yeah, and
If they do-
what we're saying is can that person be allowed to work? And so,
If the health department, IDPH, CDC say that that's still what they would consider the quarantine, then that's fine. But if they're saying you have to remain at home under quarantine, which means you can't go anywhere.
And this is the question I did pose to Kathy,
Okay.
and I hope she understood what I was asking her, because I think she did. That if you say Jane Doe has to go home out of the clerk's office because they're tested positive and they need to go into that 14-day quarantine, they can still potentially work from home.
Sure.
And Kathy equated that truck driver is gonna be alone, as long as they're feeling good enough to work.
If that's still within their definition of quarantine, I have no problem with it.
I can reiterate that with Kathy and make sure we're all completely on the same page, but I'm almost 99% sure she understood what I was asking her. And Dave and I had a long chat after that.
it'd be nice to have that on
In writing.
in writing.
That I can handle, that I can do easy.
Did you have to clean and sanitize the truck after?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and I posed that question to Dave, and he understood positively what was going on here. Because he doesn't wanna get into that mix of trying to get a bunch of snowbirds. He said, I got a couple of retired employees that have already volunteered to come in and help. And he said, but I don't wanna get into borrowing people from the state or getting into the snowbird thing. I don't know if he's a guy.
Yeah, we went through all those options.
Yeah.
And none of them are really good. I mean, from a practical perspective, you bring people, because one of the ideas was thrown out was tapping into the snowbird base. Well, the thing of it is, those people don't know the roads. And there's a difference between, plowing the county roads and plowing the state roads. And there are a lot more issues. And it just gets more complicated because those routes are set and everybody of our employees, they know their routes. You bring somebody else in, all of a sudden it can be a problem real quick.
As I say, Jenny's specific comment was, if highway department, individual county department, county, that's totally different, because they can't work at home. There's nothing they can do from home, so. Kathy, you have a comment?
Well, my only comment is again, to try to do something countywide, my staff can't work from home either.
Can't they?
So, you're not going to be able to get something that's going to fit every single department.
Yeah.
I think the concern that Casey was bringing was more understanding the difference between the departments. but that all the employees that knew what the procedure was and what the county policy was in regards to, okay, if you have to go home and you can't work from home, is that gonna be a personal, is that gonna be sick time that you have to use up? Is it FMLA? What is the policy and making sure that that's consistent between that part and consistent? So those were the issues that Casey.
Let me speak again with Jen Andrews. Another issue. Ask her that is depending on how it's done. If you can't work at home, find out what the definition should be. You gotta use up sick time. I mean, if I was an employee and I got sent home because I tested, I don't know if I'd want to use up my sick days. It's like,
Right.
A lot of people, especially this kind of day, you're saving that, so. Let me find out.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, we got an update on the replacement of the engineering tech, and I had to step out on that. Do you remember what the comment was?
I think he's still looking for somebody. Have anybody? I don't remember whether he didn't have much of applicants or, but you know, he's not gotten any.
Then we have possibility of another speed zone reduction on a township road. That's probably not going to, that's just in progress. Very happy. We sold 2 trucks on Big Iron, and both of them are going out to Idaho to Big Potato Farmer, and we got very good money, $17,000 for one and $14,000 for the other one, and that was unexpected. So David was really
And the guy
pleased
came and
with
picked him up
that.
and paid.
Yep, picked them up and we got the money. You have before you the resolution on motor fuel tax funds for fiscal year 2021 on maintenance expenditures, and on the solid waste, the electronics collection program will soon be ended for the year, and they'll reconvene in April. The amazing thing, I asked Dave, how many semi-loads of electronics do we collect through this program? And we're up to number 6. Think of that. It is just amazing how much. Now, granted, we probably garner some equipment from outside our borders, but for the most part, it's stuff that's generated from within the county. It's just an astounding amount of electronics that's brought in every year.
I know they still throw them out the ditches. We gotta pick them up, take them in there, it's like
Right.
people still.
It's like tires,
Yeah.
People-
So anyway, that's my report.
That's your just better idea, Jim, for your nice scenic driveway home. You don't see all of the right-of-ways scattered with electronics and bed mattresses and stuff. So it's all going in and getting rid of rather than in our ditch banks.
Right. Don't disagree a bit, Mike. And I just wish we still get, you just love to catch those people that still throw that stuff out, even though we have these programs available. But
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Any questions for Jim? Judy?
Met last week, I think pretty much things were covered. Another new payroll program being set up and ready to go. Elections, Kathy's given a good report on that. Getting on a soapbox on the anti-registration that could be done or online. And Zoom meetings. Schools, she has a full report, it'll be in the packet. For executive, I brought it up to the services. So we got that information that came from the state on that sexual harassment training. At the summer meeting, they said, well, that's probably not good enough. They want it to be, I guess, in person. I'm really disappointed in that. So it's not gonna be good enough, but I don't think there are gonna be any issues this year. We have, right now, we have a credit with Sermon, so that should pay for it, to have Donna or somebody do it, so other counties are paying somebody else to come in and take care of it, but, the reason that we have the $1,000 credit is that we don't use MedCore at the jail. That's going on with the other, assessment changes have been mailed, so that office was swapped early in the week. And that's it. The big thing is for this committee to just review the times for the meetings. With the reorganizational meeting not taking place until December 7th, that's when administrative services would normally have met. So that's going to throw that in properties on to Tuesday, also highway and transportation, because you're not going to have your committee assignments until Monday evening. And then have right away having your committees meeting the next day, so.
The meetings that were set for Monday will be set for Tuesday. And we'll
Right,
do-
but I mean, the people aren't going to know until Monday night what their assignment is.
Right.
So,
And there's not a
hopefully people are aware of
whole
it.
lot we can do about that.
No, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that we really need to put that out there,
Is that a night meeting?
They're only.
starting December, they're all
they're
over.
only Saturday.
So that, I mean, that just gives them even less time to be
Yep.
ready. So, I think that was, and then our IT issue, so. Yeah, I just say that. Yeah, the committee is recommending that we do look for an IT administrator. So, yeah.
Any questions for Judy?
Does that? We have to take that needs to go to the board, doesn't it? We did,
It's in the
It's
budget.
on the agenda.
it's already in the budget, so we don't really. have to-
Technically, so you could probably get down under 12F and just.
And, you know, a lot of people on the board are, because where it is in the budget, aren't necessarily going to know, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Kathy, what do you think?
Well, it's not currently on the county board agenda. So you have to tell me if you want it on the agenda or not.
I just didn't know if it needed the full board, you know, it was put in the budget, but it's not listed as such.
I don't see why we would need to have it if it's in the agenda.
Well-
Excuse me, if it's in the budget, we'll pass the budget, that automatically makes it.
I guess I would argue the fact that you're creating a new position.
Oh,
And, you know, if the budget doesn't pass, then this should pass, so.
yeah.
Well, this, yeah,
The issue is, in my mind, the issue in the budget is that it's not labeled in there.
Okay.
It's in- because it's in-
You're better
because it's in-
for transparency.
It's in contingencies that people aren't going to recognize.
There has to be an
that it's there.
explanation, we'll just have to, once the budget gets passed, and we'll just explain what that $80,000 is.
So is that putting
Yes,
it on the agenda
Yes.
or not?
Putting it on the agenda, please.
we're calling this an IT administrator as opposed to IT director, correct?
Anything else for
I
Judy?
guess one reminder was we get held up on a zoning position because of a lack of job description for the new position. So I would suggest we have one of those available.
Good point.
Prior to.
Prior to,
Yes,
Yeah,
on the table.
maybe email it out to us.
and we also ran it by Sickage.
Yes, yes. Second to it, very much in favor.
No, I'm just saying the job description, we
Oh,
were
okay.
challenged to run that by our HR.
Okay.
Charlie whipped that up this afternoon.
No, it sounds like a sickage thing. I don't know, man.
Charlie's backing out of jobs.
I think he has enough to do.
We're under the compiled statutes, do I find that?
I'll look it up.
Google Gold.
Google Gold, not Google Platinum. Yeah, I can still get it on Gold.
You got it?
Anything else for Judy?
I'll add it to the total.
Judy, I want
Well
to
done.
personally thank you for all the years you've been on the board and for on this committee and giving us insight into so many things that I've tried to talk you into running again many
Wait,
times.
it's a year, Well, it's too late.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to file your.
I just want to thank you very much.
You're
Okay, Dave.
I guess the question, a lot of this has been covered in the last meeting. Do I need to go through this
No,
again? Okay, so are there any questions on anything? I guess we'll just leave it that way. Okay, that's all I got.
Mike? Where'd Mike go?
I'm here. Well, let's see once. Yep, I'm not muted. Ha! What a surprise. Public safety met November 10th at 10 a.m. Went over the previous meetings. They were approved with no changes. Comments from visitors were minimal. We went over the claims, approved, adjusted and approved any claims that needed to be done, and they were approved for payment. Nothing covered under old business. Under new business, the sheriff went over pretty much everything that you've already heard. I don't think I need to repeat any of that. If you have any questions on it, I'll be glad to try and answer them. We didn't have any executive session, and we adjourned around 10 or 10:15, I believe.
Any questions for Mike? Bob?
We're all here today. I don't know if,
Yeah.
you know, everybody was here, including Mike, so I don't know if any questions and I can read through.
What's the point?
I know.
Yeah, this is all talked about. I think before it gets away from us, though, I would like to have everybody take a look at the forms. Did you hand these out to everybody? Okay. Becky's had a little trouble getting back on a timely basis what needs to go on agendas, not from everybody or everything, but
I'm guilty of that too.
we just, yeah, I just am saying that.
Well, I thought if I sent this form out and it'd have the date of the meeting and then the deadline. So what's happening is I'm getting emails on the day it's supposed to be posted and I'm not sitting at my desk.
So the problem I have as a chair is I want to see what they're going to put on there. Not that I never keep anything, but I want to see what it is so there's no surprises before you do that. You know what I mean? So it needs to be ran by the chair of the committee too sometimes.
So what I would like to do is just have an understanding that if I get something the day it's supposed to be posted and it doesn't get posted, I mean, I don't want to be responsible for something when I wasn't sitting there.
Yeah.
So, so I have on there that it has to be confirmed by a phone call if it's supposed to be on the agenda. And then the other problem I have is I never know what to do with it once I get it. Does it go on to finance? Does it go on to executive? Where does it need to go? So I guess I want your blessing to send that out when I send out the agenda reminder and like Kathy, I never have a problem with it. There's just a few of them. It's just a toss up.
There's so much that we have to adjust because it's legal. And you can't adjust things. It's not on the appropriate agenda. And I don't want to oversimplify it, but it does become a problem. It's scurrying around the last day or two and driving her crazy and trying to get everything done.
Anything you can do to make your job easy, do it. I'm all right.
So not only will I send those out, but then I'm gonna send them out to the committee members too, so they know.
Does anybody have any problems with any of this going on? Because it will help immensely as to how things are done. It will smooth things out a lot.
And you always send me a copy of the agenda, me and Marilyn, so as long as we see it, I'm good with that.
Right.
I would never keep anybody from bringing something. I just
No, they
want to
want
see
to
it.
talk about it, we gotta talk about it.
Yeah, I just want to see it though, so there's no surprises, you know?
And for the record, I am gonna add highway rate.
And put it in bold letters.
But we'll be on the bottom of the list
No.
because we're good.
Because it's in order of people that, order of meeting.
And it can be a work in progress. We're just trying to improve through everything on this deal because it's very important that it gets done.
So I just want a little more communication.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Monthly claim sheets and stuff going around along with per diem. We got petitions coming to the zoning board. Petition 20P 1556 on Dennis and Edith Pfeiffer Information you need is right there. Anybody needs an explanation, I can give it to you. Second one, with coming to the zoning board is 20P 1557 with the Big Sky Repower. There again, it's all right there in that petition. The third one is 20P 1558 with Duke Energy, South Dixon Solar coming in next month for their petition hearings and for their zoning amendments. Then petitions coming from the zoning board would be the vote on Stewart Creek Solar. Dee, are you still out there?
No.
There's just a second.
I don't believe there was any question on that. That came to finance and everybody heard that. And it was passed unanimously by the zoning board to approve that.
I do have one question on this. You know, I know Stewart Creek is been through zoning, applies, has the old zoning rules, solar zoning rules. We're looking at new ordinances for solar. Where is South Dixon Solar in that process? If we send it to zoning, are they under the old rules then?
Yes.
Okay, that's just wanted a clarification.
They've already done, Charlie, if I interpret this correctly, talking with you, they have made the petition and they will fall under the old rules. And we will be laying the new ordinance with some adjustments on the table. It'll get passed in December and everything else will then have to follow the new ordinance if it gets passed in December.
Correct.
That would,
Okay, the hypothetical. We passed the new ordinance in December, but let's say there's another, I don't know that there's another one out there, but let's say there is another one out there. And they come in and apply, and they're on the agenda before we pass the ordinance.
And they still need to be under the old
Old
rules.
rules, okay, just clarification.
Now, when you say it's gonna be passed in December,
set on the table, it may not pass in December.
If it's an ordinance, it's supposed to be over.
It's easily over.
I guess if you're looking to do it sooner, you have to make a motion to suspend the rules, and everybody has the ability to set that precedent.
I'm not suggesting we do it, I just want to know scenarios.
I think an ordinance of this importance even needs to lay on the table for a while. I think it would be perceived, I think we need to keep moving on it. But I think if we rushed it through, it'd be perceived that we're trying to do something under the table, and I don't want that at all.
And that's not my intent, that's not my intent with this question, it's just wanting to know where we're at.
And I guess if you're trying to stop petitioners from coming in after this next one under the same rules they're under now, you can still do the option of having a moratorium in the meantime, but you also have to weigh that pros and cons wise as well and then take a vote on it.
So I have an issue, the planning commission needs to meet at some point. And we got, give us some direction of the county with the solar farms. Well, a couple guys in the planning commission, I think one's in Wisconsin, a couple have solar farms. So we need some alternates for that, if you can do that. Okay? They need to give us direction on, you know, how many of these we're gonna have, what we're gonna do at some point. But the other thing is, I might wanna change the setbacks, try and change it, I don't know if we have the votes, to 500 or 600 feet next Thursday night. I can make the motion with that change then, and then we still lay it over with that change, correct? Yep.
So you're gonna wanna amend the ordinance next Thursday.
Yeah, let's think about it.
No other proposals on there.
There's just a couple that I like, she's got 1,000-foot setback. I don't think we need 1,000 foot for solar. That's just my opinion. So I might,
Can we do that before?
I don't want to do that because your committee already voted on that. So I don't want to circumvent your committee. So it should stay like come out of committee. My opinion. So, but I want to be upfront with you guys, what I'm going to do.
Yep.
And I can't really fault that situation.
Well, and John, you've gotten some other
I-
input as well.
Yeah, and of course, person that talked to me was in favor of 1,000 foot, but I feel 1,000 foot is too far myself. I mean, this is my opinion.
1,000 foot is more than we require for the wind turbines in places.
Substantially, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's 500 feet tall versus 25, 30. That's just my theory. And, you know, come out of committee like that, we can't change it now. I don't feel we can legally change it. The committee, that's how it come out of committee. I don't respect that.
That was the recommendation of the committee though, right?
I was remote, so it was, yeah, I would say it was a recommendation.
Something we can. It's just a recommendation.
I would be okay with that. I would think it'd be cleaner.
I think, yeah, I think we need to move them back, you know, and I originally talked about 2 different ordinances, but I think we just need to get going. We need to get something, whatever we do, it's not gonna be perfect. So I think we're gonna have to adjust this as we go. I don't want to keep changing the rules, you know, in the middle of the game, okay. Yeah.
Well, eventually run out of acreage anyway, so.
Yeah, pretty soon, yeah. But let's get back to that planning commission. Don't we think we should have a planning committee meet?
Yes.
Tell us, I mean, and I was told who's the guy in Wisconsin now? Somebody moved to Wisconsin or something?
No, there was we had a consultant way back when we did the plan commission,
Okay.
there was a consultant out of Wisconsin, was it Vanderwalde? I think is the name that I remember.
But I mean, they need to meet and give us some.
Yeah,
This would be
Vanderwalde brought in
for
a lot of
comprehensive plan.
ideas that we
Yes, yeah.
incorporated in the comprehensive plan.
So I got people saying to me, how many of these are you gonna put in the county? You know what I mean? Well, legally, I don't think I can say 4 or 5. Yeah, but as long as they're a viable thing and they meet all the standards, I don't have an issue with it. But it'd be nice to have a planning commission at least meet and, you know.
Not for the ordinance sake, but for the
For the
comprehensive plan,
global,
comprehensive
yeah.
long-term plan.
exactly, yeah. Sorry, I was.
Yep.
2 different rambles.
I have a question regarding this ordinance resolution is coming up for approval. Does anybody know if the zoning board of appeals has reviewed this ordinance situation that's being changed or amended?
Yes, they have, Mike. They were asked by Dee and they reviewed it. And they are the ones that were approving this. Now, we can change it, but they didn't see any fault with that. so. Was there a particular part of it, Mike, that you were wondering about?
Well, I scanned through it real quick. I was curious on decommissioning of things. I'm hearing that these are going to be in place for 35 years before they're decommissioned or potentially. Decommission, I think, was set in here, and I don't remember where it's at $1,000. Is that going to be an appropriate amount 30 years from now for decommissioning or what?
But that's.
I got something like that.
That's a different issue.
That's a different issue, but as a county, I would, I don't know, I think I sent that to you. I'm sure you didn't read my email, but
Yeah, you know, I don't.
I was gonna put in a per megawatt decommissioning fee. Because how the AMA reads is somebody, they get an engineer to decide it. Is that right? What the decommissioning should be? Well, I would like to put a county number in there and then let that go. And whichever's lower gets there. That way we at least know that there's something in there. And I would make that decommissioning fee comparable to our wind energy or something like that per megawatt.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Got some feedback from Jim Morrison, who, there again, retired attorney, they like to hyperanalyze things. Right? And he made the comment in here, and such
Like an ex-smoker?
section G leaves a little bit of leeway regarding the decommissioning, and he feels that the $1,000 minimum is a mistake because it will always put the county in a position to have to negotiate up. He feels that probably $10,000 per acre in the ordinance, and then you leave it up to negotiation on it if necessary.
I was
Per acre versus megawatt.
I would tie it per megawatt because they're gonna make them more efficient as we go. So I'd tie it per megawatt and I would do a 10,000, 10 to 20,000. What is a solar? What is that?
I don't remember off the top
Should
of my
I
head.
grab Dee so she's the?
Yeah.
Yeah, go, let's get you.
What's the question about?
What is the decommissioning per megawatt on solar? Is it 20,000 or 40,000? I can't remember.
40 is what we've been kicking around it, but
Per acre?
no,
Per megawatt.
Per megawatt?
For wind
turbines.
energy.
For
Oh, for
turbines.
turbines, gotcha.
So,
They're 2.3 meg.
but that was 40,000, that's how I come up with it. That was 40,000 per turbine. Right, or is it
Yeah.
per?
I'm pretty sure it's for turbine and they're 2.3 a lot of them.
Yeah, so you're thinking of 20,000, you know, if you did the math, so, you know, if you put 20,000 times 600 megawatt, is that 1,200,000, is that what that comes to? Right, not 12 million, I don't want that.
Well, let me ask this then, so that I understand it. What's the purpose for the decommissioning fee? Is it to offset any inconsistencies of returning the ground back to its original state, or what's the purpose of it? I agree, Bob, with your comment as far as the kilowatt hour or whatever. I don't have any issue with that, but if we set $1,000 right now, 30 years from now, and there's more damage that was done, you know, over the years, are we accomplishing anything?
Well, what if we did, it's 2,000 per megawatt would be 1,200,000 for that. What if we did the CPI to it, but that gets too complicated to figure that, you know what I
I
mean?
mean, just,
Lot can happen in 30 years.
well, and you wouldn't expect that the ordinance would remain the same for 30 years either.
But once they go underneath this, they're.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah,
Decommissioning
I
and
gotcha.
stuff.
Did you get a chance to look at Jim's email?
I'm sorry, I haven't,
Dee?
I have not.
He had made some proposals. Big one we're discussing right now is the decommissioning rate, covering in section G, which is $1,000 per acre. And he was proposing $10,000 per acre. But now Bob has thought it'd be better to tie it to megawatt because that will keep some stability there versus per acre. You're the guru, Dee. We need some input if we can, you know.
I can't give you answers right now,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What is wind decommissioning for wind turbine? Do you remember what that would be? I don't either. We just did it. So.
The $40,000 Dee, something like that?
That's one.
Yeah. And they're 2.3 megs, so that'll be about $20,000 a kilowatt or a megawatt.
I just, there's so many things out there that we need to tie this up closer than last minute and you're trying to figure this out. I wouldn't want to do it right away, but, you know.
There again, I don't want to not act next month's meeting. Or not next month, but at this meeting coming up on next Thursday.
I didn't mean.
But I want to make
no
it
disrespect
right.
by that. I just meant we're trying to get this. to
Yeah.
last minute.
It was one night, I don't know if it's just.
I'd really rather do it right and fast. And can we put together something with some of these changes by next Thursday? Because they approved it in a certain form.
I don't think there would
Can't
be
we
a
just lay
problem.
this over and make the changes as it's laid out? I mean, that's,
No,
No, you meant it.
you're good.
It's not like a budget. I don't think this is like a budget.
that's what I was gonna compare it to.
The reason it's laid over so everybody can review it in the meantime.
Right. But the
Changing
purpose
it.
of the review, Charlie, I mean, why would you review it if you weren't gonna propose changes?
I think you're laying it over again to make sure everybody's good with it.
Okay.
So I would put it 2,000 per megawatt, which would be 20,000 per 10 acres versus 1,000, which would be twice what Jim wanted. Because they do about 10 acres, megawatt per acre, or 10 acres per megawatt. Right?
Oh, 7. 7 is in my head.
6,000 acres divided by 600. So it's probably, no, I don't care, whatever.
Then we want to adjust the setbacks.
I would change it to 500 or 600 feet.
Well, I'd like 500.
Let's do
I mean,
500.
only because 500 is just,
From the property line,
Yes,
I think the large figure, the 1,000 foot was from our primary residence
Primary.
foundation. I don't know if you want a difference there or not.
what did it say for property line?
I think it was the 500, but I think the house was, primary residence was 1,000 feet. Because where you get into it is if the house is very close to the proposed property.
Maybe you could keep that 1,000 for the house then.
I think that's all the 1,000 applied to.
Isn't there a difference on substation, where the substation is located? And I think it didn't our current ordinance say 1,000 feet from primary residence for the substation?
Oh, maybe I'm confusing that with the substation. I thought it was the actual.
it looks
I
like
read it, but I can't tell you where.
the setback is 300 feet from the front property line and 1,000 feet from the foundation of the primary dwelling. So you feel that we should probably go 500 feet from the front, or excuse me, 1,000 feet and then 500 feet from the property line?
I think we're digging in the dirt here a little bit.
I-
What, from a big picture, my suggestion would be is let Dee and I take, and anybody who else that wants to be involved, but take the comments that we've received, and I'd like to hear from Bob on the setbacks or other interested parties, but let us see if we can't tweak on this for Thursday night meeting. I'll run it by, Paul and run it by all the other properties folks, if they're okay with that, or, and see if we can't get an improved version for Thursday night. Dee, are you up for that? Okay,
And then the second.
I don't want to figure it out here.
I don't either.
Yeah, we're just,
I don't think there's I don't think there's enough here that we couldn't go ahead and incorporate the comments in a reasonable fashion. Like you say, it's not going to be a perfect, but I think it is important that we deal with this in a timely manner. And this is definitely a step in the right direction for the public that we're, the public comments we've received to date. And we just want to move through it in a timely fashion.
I like the stuff she's got in there though. I mean, she clarifies a whole bunch of stuff here.
And Jim, we were teasing a bit, but I think Mr. Horstman, very helpful comments from him. I want to look those over myself because I haven't seen them in their entirety. So.
Another thing we have to consider also is the fact of differentiating between a community solar project and a industry type solar project. I don't really, if we bound community projects by this and the setbacks here, we would basically eliminate it.
Yeah, I think we could probably handle it in one ordinance and possibly have, if there's issues that we believe would be eliminating community, which we don't want to do, then we could address those in the same ordinance with a note that this applies, these setbacks apply to community.
No, I think you can do that on the size of the project, the megawatts. Yep.
Right.
So what these apply to over
Yep.
such and so.
Yep.
There's, I think we get, 2 or 3 of us will get together and get something palatable.
Yep.
Whatever you want to meet, Monday we can meet for tomorrow.
I just meet like Monday, give me some.
Monday, yeah, give time to reread it and think through it, so.
I don't know what the International Dark Sky thing is, or whatever, I don't know what that is.
See, what's International Dark Sky?
It's a non-for-profit organization that works with lighting.
Okay, all right.
I thought it was a good deal.
All right.
Okay, so is anybody objecting to Dave and Bob and myself and Dee, we get together? and
Well, then we have to post the,
Only be 2 of us.
Yeah, to do it.
Well, I don't have to, if you do want to do it.
Yeah, but you got good ideas on it. I mean, you're probably close to it anyway.
I just meant,
I'm just going off of,
but I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah.
That we need to change.
Dee, one thing that came up yesterday was the position of the fence. There's a fence, and this is probably something you know in this ordinance. The fence can be at the property line or anywhere in between the property line and the array. Because if I owned a 5-acre chunk and my house and shed was on that, and somebody, the solar company, leased all the land around me and put a chain link fence with 3 strands of barbed wire on top of it, right on the property line, and then put their 500-foot green strip or setback, that would upset me. Probably nothing I could do about it, but it would upset me. I would much prefer to see the fence back by the array, then I get that nice little out the back door green strip to look at. A little buffer.
And who's gonna maintain that green strip?
Well, the maintenance of the,
Well, but I mean, that needs to be included.
yes, that has to be maintained by the solar farm.
We're digging in the dirt.
Yeah, we are, but I'm just throwing out that
No, I think it's
as a,
something we need to
because I'm a,
consider in there.
But I think we will put a minimum, or we would like to put a minimum decommission number in there so we know.
Yeah.
That at least it's this amount of dollars. So if some engineer does it's $10 an acre, you know, then we're into that, so. And they know going into it what we're doing, so.
so we're gonna leave it up to Dave, Bob, tweak what we have, and Dee,
And Charlie,
and Charlie.
So we're on by chair.
Is that good with everybody?
Yes.
It's a big thing. I mean, we can't minimize this. This could haunt us many years down the road if we don't do it now.
I think we tag it like back to the megawatts because you don't know what's the buffer strip or how do you figure that, you know, it's gonna have a nameplate on it. This is so many megawatts, so it's gonna make it a lot easier to turn.
You're right, Bob. You can't do it by acre.
So.
Okay, so just for clarification then, this is an item that you want on the agenda
Yes,
as an ordinance, amendment to the solar ordinance, and your intention is to hold it over until December.
yes.
Okay.
No petitions coming to the planning commission? No commissions from the planning commission? Under announcements?
Sheriff's trying to get in, he can't get in through Zoom. He had something he wanted to share with you.
Oh.
Do you want me to put him on
I don't know
speaker?
where it's
I
at.
think he
Yeah.
must be on speaker, so Kat, you text me that too.
I don't know. Hi, Sheriff.
Hi, everybody.
Sorry you can't get in, Sheriff.
No, that's okay. And meant to bring it up in finance and I completely forgot. I think it's some information you might be interested in. The last couple of public safety meetings, Mike Copine has asked Charlie and I to talk a little bit about our initiatives with regards to abandoned property and abandoned vehicles, which we have addressed a little bit. But I think it's always been, one of those areas of that, especially when we're talking about abandoned properties, some of these dilapidated properties we have around Lake County, and it's really a tough decision for the board and how we're going to go about doing something like this to clean up parts of Lake County. So I found that there is a meeting tonight. It's called the subject is Abandoned Properties Grant that is put on by the Illinois Housing Development Authority, and they're having a Zoom meeting tonight at 6 o'clock. They call it it's part of their annual meeting, and it's put on by the North Central Illinois Council of Governments. And if somebody there wants me to send them this email, I can with some of the information, but I thought it might be at least something worth listening to. If there is some grants available out there for cleaning up abandoned properties that you might want to look into, it's up to you. I just want to share the information.
I appreciate that, Sheriff. Send that to me in an email, will you? I'm going to try to attend that tonight if I can.
That's
Okay.
Mike
Is that one
Corbin.
speaking? He was back there. Is that-
Yeah, it's Mike Corbin.
Okay.
He's on Zoom.
Okay, yep, I'll send it directly.
Send it to
Mike.
me too, eh, Sheriff?
All right, thanks, Sheriff.
Anybody else?
All right, sorry about it, just saw some
Say,
information.
Marilyn would like it also,
Well, if he sends it to me, I can just forward it.
or send it to Becky, I guess, too, and she can forward it on to everybody, and if they want it,
Better
fine.
yet, Yep. better
That
yet,
works
better.
best.
Okay,
Yeah, thanks, John.
all right, thank you. Yep, bye.
Back to the agenda, the announcements. Chris Harrison is going to have himself and some family members accept an award for a plaque for Ray Harrison, who was on our board for many years, and served as properties chairman for many years. I mean, to acknowledge Tim Dean and Ms. Truckenbroad.
That's the only one going off though.
Well, but you've been here forever. We gotta find the right room. We gotta find the right room to name for you, Judy.
I'm just gonna be glad to have this switch.
Institution.
Who else is coming on?
Is it Clay off?
Clay's going off.
Yeah, Clay's coming on.
He's been on for years, so we'll thank Clay.
Isn't there something, I thought there was another one.
Mike Broom has only been on a little while, but he's
Yeah.
done.
You gotta go get Clay.
No, I just,
Oh,
it's getting tidied up here.
no,
He's ready to go.
I'm just, you
You
know.
still got some combine, Bob?
Okay,
A little bit, I'm not.
under old business, we have the budget, which is laid over from October. Have you got any comments at all on that?
No, I don't think so. We got some changes we'll make to it, but I think we're good.
Okay.
I'll have Paula give me something so I can give it rough draft of it or something, you know. It's been so long since it worked, I don't remember.
But did a fine job.
Yeah, it was perfect.
It was perfect and getting better.
Actually in the black. Under new business, we have a resolution to appropriate motor fuel tax. Jim's already covered that. Dave, you have a comment? I mean, we've all heard the comment on the ADS.
Mhm. Nothing, unless there's questions, it's all just a repeat, so.
Okay. Guess we've all heard, clear down to the next resolution. Charlie was kind enough to, Dave initiated it, but Ogle County had a resolution they passed a month ago to send to the state to try to convince them to keep the power plant open up there. And I was discussing this above and beyond Dave's email with John Finfrock, and he sent me a copy of their resolution. Charlie wordsmith it around to cover Lee County, and it should be on your desk there. I hope it meets everybody's approval. And it's basically just a resolution to support Ogle County, but in essence, it also supports all the ComEd employees in Lee County, because there's a lot of people around Dixon, Franklin Grove, and all around Lee County that derive their income from. And then
And power.
Power. There is a resolution also to get the Reagan Mass Transit District on the table. Are you going to modify that for Thursday night, Charlie?
I have modified it. I sent it to Greg. Greg's here.
Okay,
In case he wants to present or talk about
okay,
the one that I sent him.
okay, great.
I would concur with the direction that Charlie as well as Branford and I had talked about
Okay.
on Tuesday afternoon. And basically, if you have that in front of you, the resolution. Okay. Basically,
There's a packet right there.
pardon?
When I first started, John said he didn't want everything to go through committee, but it is in that packet right there. So
But that was the original one that Greg had drafted up. We had changed it since then.
I think that is,
Is it?
I believe so.
Highway, is that it?
No, it's significantly bigger now.
Well, it's just
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same one. It's reformatted differently too. It's got the. So I can send it to you if you want and print it off and they can see it.
Yeah.
Maybe do that.
I need it too, Charlie.
Okay.
Effectively, it's, the resolution is focused on creating an advisory board for the creation of the Reagan Master District, as opposed to taking the next step, which I think Brian as well as Charlie concur that it really should be done with an ordinance as opposed to a resolution. So this would be like an intermediary step, but I'll let you legally talk to that angle.
Sure. What it is it would form an ad hoc committee. What you would see once it gets printed off is in the resolution itself, it will appoint, the chairman will give the authority to appoint certain members to this ad hoc committee to work with the transition of lots into the MTD. I don't know who you would want to comprise that of. I threw out a couple ideas of somebody from the transportation solid waste committees, properties, somebody from finance, however you want to do it. I included myself as well, just in case anything else comes up and we want to do something in terms of the ordinance. It would give them the opportunity to have their own chair and vice chair to function and come up with this ordinance that would allow to mirror itself against what Ogle County is going to do as well. So that way we're all on the same page, it's efficient, it effectuates in the manner it should be effectuated.
So there would be effective representation from Ogle County as well as part of this advisory board.
The resolution allows for Ogle County to be a part of it. I don't think we have the legal authority to require them to do it. So if they would like to, and they want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that's how it would be built up.
How would the structure, would that come down the line later on as to the structure of the transportation district itself? We're gonna formulate how it's gonna look, but.
That would be working with the ordinance. So there's gonna be an advisory committee over top of the NTD. And I don't know what vision you have for it, but if that's gonna be made up of members of Ogle and Lee County, or how it's going to be as a board of directors over that. Okay. That would be working with the ordinance. Okay.
But right now, for this month, we're strictly doing the resolution.
Forming that.
Right, thank you, Ken. Get it out there.
Should the board want to.
Yep, get it out there and let everybody look at it. As you look at it, anybody have questions?
It is not complete. So I mean, you're not voting to push this one to the board because again, I don't have the members of who's going to be a part of that on that resolution. What committee members or what committees in general you would want to form this ad hoc committee.
Right, but this resolution gives us permission to do that.
Well, you have probably, as you'll see under paragraphs 5 and 7, it says the committee should be made up of a member of the Properties Committee, a member of Finance Committee, a member of Transportation Solid Waste, Lee County State's Attorney, or an assistant, and a member of ... I left it ... because I don't know who you want to include on there. I don't know who you would think was appropriate for it, or if that's sufficient for you to have just those 3 committees. I also put on that 7th one, the ad hoc committee chair shall be, and the vice chair shall be, because again, I don't know who you want to do, or if you want to keep it open-ended.
I know, but I mean, do you want him specifically, his position specifically?
Well, this is just for the ad hoc, this won't be for the board of directors for MTD.
Well, you know, but I don't think he needs to.
Does anybody have any questions? Yeah. I'm gonna go on the agenda.
De facto.
Yeah, de facto.
Yeah. We have our solar ordinance amendment. There's a resolution regarding the appellate prosecutor that should be in your packet. That was to be printed out. Kathy, was there another one?
You've got the resolution appointing David Didier,
Oh, correct.
the
Yes.
appointment.
Right. Dave Didier is to be appointed, is up for appointment to the drainage district for Maple Grove Drainage District.
You went, you were ... I would like to, so that way we
Would
can
you?
run it out.
Or how about the chairman sees fit or something, or whatever.
Any other
What's
members?
the best way to word it, Charlie?
Sure, if chairman appoints,
Sure.
we can have others are appointed by chair.
Yep.
That work for it.
So, yeah.
You don't need any more. Does that work for you?
That works for me. I just didn't want to leave a ...
Mhm.
Okay. Mickey,
That makes me nervous.
okay. Kathy, anything else under resolutions other than,
I'll just take you back up under old business. You'll
Okay.
have the resolution for the annual real estate tax levy.
okay,
That was held over from last month as well.
but that goes up front, up top.
Yep, it's under old business.
So,
So I've been here texting, trying to keep my head in the game here. Under new business, we're not gonna put all the stuff on the agenda, are you? Like the floor scrubber, the litigation?
No,
no,
Oh,
no.
all right,
We got multiple agendas here.
yeah, okay,
yeah,
all
we got more.
right, sorry.
Okay.
So then, Bob, I'll just kind of back you up too. I don't think John was in the room when you were discussing the liquor license issue,
Okay,
so you might want to bring him up to speed on that.
I think we're gonna take it to a full board Thursday about, giving half back to the county.
Oh,
And there's, how many is there of them? Like 18 or
I wasn't in
10
that
or
room,
11,
but I was, Bob made me aware of it, so.
like $9,000 we're gonna give back.
There's
How did it,
13.
13.
okay, and your committee had no problem with that?
Well, we couldn't do that.
We didn't.
Yeah, but I don't think.
I'm okay with it, but we didn't discuss it. Wasn't on our agenda.
Okay, though, or not?
I didn't hear anything you're saying.
Charlie, we're proposing, Bob is proposing that because of the COVID situation and the bars being closed, that we give back half the liquor license fee to the people that are in the county that have liquor licenses.
Sure, yeah.
It wasn't on the agenda, so they
Yeah,
couldn't
discount.
officially take a vote, but.
And I don't have a county liquor license, or do I? So
No,
I
you do
feel
not.
better about that
Yep.
then.
I was kidding him and
I know, I was like, well, this is weird to go do
Get
that.
myself some money back here, you know, but
So. I don't have a problem
legally
with it
we
now.
can do that, I assume, Charlie, I mean, we don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll have to have something to put on the agenda for that.
I think she's already on that.
I just listed it as liquor license partial refund.
Okay.
And then that way it's open for discussion and you guys can take a vote at the full board.
Okay. Anything else that was, I was talking for a while?
I've been texting here with Paula also. Devin is IMRF, not SLEP, so Lori will stay IMRF.
Okay, good.
There's a couple raffle reports. One was Shady Oaks Country Club. It's for clubhouse improvements. And I'll pass these around. Randy Davis was the winner. He ended up with $445. And, excuse me, he ended up with $290. And I'll pass that around. And then the Franklin Creek Group, Franklin Creek Conservation Association, we had a raffle for I believe it was for a painting of some sort. And we actually grossed $4,480. The only expenses were $50. And so the proceeds were $44.30. And the winner was a 50-50 drawing for Candace Stapleton.
Hey, Bob, while you're passing that out, just curious on the, oh God, senior moment. On the decommissioning fees, what was your thought on fee for kilowatt hour?
$2,000.
Okay, because somebody's gonna ask me, I'm sure.
Yeah, that'd be 1.2 million for the project. And at least that's a minimum, you know?
I think it sounds reasonable to me. I catch it though when we were talking about it. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Maybe we need to put something in there that it gets reevaluated every 10 years or something, or 5 years. I'll talk to Charlie on that when we do it. Maybe we'll have some kind of verbiage in there that we're not locked in for 35 years at 2,000.
I think that's great too.
All right.
Executive session, Charlie, are we gonna,
I don't know that we need to.
we don't really have any
I
executive.
think we're all there earlier.
We don't have any coming up on your board. do we?
Unless you want to address what we addressed in finance.
Regarding,
Are there any different,
Michael.
No, the first one that we addressed,
oh,
We can put it on and then not
we
leave
can
it.
go back to,
if you want to.
yeah, let's put it on and then I'd rather have it. But
oh, this, but,
pretty much, you guys voted on it. Need a motion to approve the agenda?
So what are
So
we,
moved.
we're going into executive
No,
session
no,
at
no, no.
county board,
At county board under seal 11.
seal,
But
thank
we
you,
may not use it. We just want to be safe.
okay, but I need to have it
But it
on,
needs to go on there, yeah.
okay.
Okay. And I need a motion to approve the new agenda, the agenda for next Thursday night.
So moved.
Jim, Judy, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Can we go back to that lots resolution?
Yes.
So under paragraph 5, as we had before, the ad hoc committee shall be made up of a member of the properties committee, a member of the finance committee, a member of transportation, solid waste, Lee County State's attorney or an assistant. And then I added on there, and any other qualified member of the Lee County, I'm sorry, and any other qualified member of the Lee County Board chairman deems appropriate as allowed by state and federal law. And then do we want to name a chair and vice chair or not?
can they be elected by the
Specifically,
committee once it's formed?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think it'd be better if it was elected by the committee after done.
Okay, so I'll just put the ad hoc committee shall elect its own chair and vice chair.
Everybody okay with that? Anything else that needs to come up next Thursday? I need a motion to approve that agenda. Jim made it.
Yep.
Judy seconded it. Everybody's in favor?
I,
Need a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second.
Thank you very much.
Who was the second?
Me.
I'll call you.